In the late 2000s to mid-2010s, Call of Duty was the most popular franchise in the gaming market, and as the leading transfer in the industry, plenty of franchises tried to copy what COD was doing, lean to the modern military shooters. Battlefield, Ghost Recon, Medal of Honor, Homefront, Spec Ops! Even though that last one is a critique of said genre, the sloth was unleashed, and many piggies were fed. Do y'all remember the movie Act of Valor? The movie that was just propaganda for the Navy SEALs? Yeah, that was just Call of Duty the movie, before we got the actual COD film, directed by the guy who directed Battleship. Hell, before the 2016 reboot, Doom was originally going to be a military shooter, with you playing as a resistance member fighting with the military against the forces of hell. It is a bit of a shame that its software scrapped it. It would have been hilarious. Too bad I can't say the same thing for Ace Combat. Ace Combat Assault Horizons. Yeah. I'm sorry to my fellow AC simmates for mentioning this game. I know y'all are trying to forget this one, but, does it look like I give a shit? Released in 2011, Assault Horizons is what happens when a Call of Duty developer accidentally walks into the wrong office. It's military shooter slump in plain form, which is a shame, because Ace Combat is an amazing franchise. As, instead of taking on the role of a Spec Ops soldier fighting against whatever country America deems as the enemy this week, players take on the role of a pilot flying high in the sky. While it may sound interesting to some, what makes the series truly special are the stories, and how anti-war they are. Telling tales of the nature of war, and how, even though war causes chaos and strife, humanity persists, holding on to their beliefs that someday nations will come together in harmony.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
Is every story perfect?
I got a little piece of advice for you. Go dance with the angels.
Nope. But you could still tell that they at least tried. Too bad that saying can't be said for Assault Horizons. In the future year of 2015, Russia is at war with itself, between the loyalists and ultranationalists. Yep, this is Ace Combat, don't worry about it. Lieutenant Colonel William Bishop is the leader of Wardog Squadron, a ragtag group of pilots stationed in East Africa to quell a rebellion. Now, what is a rebellion, you may ask? Don't worry about it, that's not important. What is important is that during the operation, War Dogs is assisted by a group of Russians who quickly betrayed their fellow NATO allies because, as it turns out, not only were they supplying the rebel weapons so they could use resources to get a thermonuclear bomb called Trinity, but they are also part of a Russian criminal game called Black Noi, which is led by a man named Markov. The Black Noi are part of a group called the New Russian Federation, an ultra-nationalist faction that wants to destroy the current Russian government for working with America. Because if the Russians were gonna steal from modern warfare, they might as well steal everything. After almost dying to Markov, Bishop and his team are tasked with defending Dubai from the NRF. Because America be damned if a group of Russians take away all of Dubai's migrant workers. However, as it turns out, the NRF did a little trolling and actually used Dubai as a distraction to commit an attack in Moscow, kicking off a civil war in Russia. After disrupting the NRF's operation in Russia, War Dog makes a final push to Moscow, with Bishop having a duel against Markov, and killing him. For about 2 minutes. Also, it is revealed that this one friendly Russian dude named Illich, who only built for like 2 missions, is actually working for Markov, as he's his ride or die homie. And why is Markov doing this, you may ask? Because he wants revenge for the death of his wife after an American body run killed her. Illich, dies, like, literally the mission after he's found out. So that's cool. Yeah. After gunning down Illich, Bishop and his squad head over to Washington, D.C. with the obligatory final battle, in which Makarov is gonna use the last Trinity warhead to make Metro 2033 into reality. But, unfortunately for him, Bishop is the true Metrohead, as he knows that the series takes place in Russia, and not in America. And so, for the crime of being the LARPer, Markov is shot down along with the warhead. And Bishop stands tall, fists in the air, for making America great again. In these combat games, the same takes place in Exchange Hill, which is basically our world if we had cool railguns and destroyed meteors, and all the name of countries were copyright free. Like seriously, who thought they were calling the American standard use here? Come on man, you're not fooling anyone. Despite the funny name, there is a good reason why it's like that, because it's better to have politics in your story, without seeming like you're just happy for one side. In an essay written for the open publishing website Medium, writer and YouTuber Words Maybe compares the way Ace Combat and Top Gun Maverick handles their politics. In it, he explains that despite Maverick never really naming what nation the enemy pilots are from, because the director doesn't want people to connect it to anything in the real world, people still try to do so, because of course they're gonna. When you have a nameless enemy faction in your movie that has real world politics that takes place in the real world, it's kinda hard not to do so. And that's the main problem with Assault Horizons. Because it's saying is in the real world, it's gonna be including real world politics, yet it doesn't really say anything. Since Ace Combat 3, the series has always tried to say something about war. In 7, it's about the rise in drone warfare. 0 is how nationalism can make the leaders of a nation do something drastic, like nuclear assault. In 5, it's the fucking shadow government. Hell, Ace Combat 6, the most melodramatic game in the franchise, has something to say about war by having its cutscenes be from different perspectives of the current conflict that's going on, from the civilians to the enemy you're fighting against. But Assault Horizons doesn't do any of that. There's nothing to be said about how war makes monsters of us all, or how one war leads to another conflict in the future. The closest thing we get is Markov's reasoning for wanting revenge against America. But that's it! There's no nuance in why the NRF did the coup. No radio chatter from any enemy pilots except for the named characters, whose lines of dialogue consist of how evil they are and how they're ready to destroy America. Nothing that suggests that maybe the Russian pilots that you're fighting against are, at least decent people. Which is funny, because having the main enemies be Russian doesn't do anything for the main story. You could replace the nationality of the antagonist with anything else and nothing would change. They could be from the CCP, North Korea, the Mushroom Kingdom, and the story would still be the same. The only reason why it's Russians is because COD was doing it. It's like a nerd trying to be the high school jock, so he just gets a varsity jacket without even trying out for the football team. Get back in your locker, Dexter. You're not fooling anyone. Huh, not funny. I just ranted about all that, yet I'm feeling like I forgot something. Oh, right! The characters! There's our main guy, Bishop. He has nightmares about Markov and his plane at the beginning of the game. There's a Bishop's love interest, woman, and Bishop's best friend who's a helicopter pilot. The helicopter pilot guy. Oh god, okay. Who's from War Dog? War Dog 2! Guts! He's the jokey guy. And, he totally isn't just annoying and, gets under your skin. He gets shot down like the mission before, the final mission. And, at the very last scene, he's rescued off screen. So, yeah. At least the gameplay is fun.
I've lost contact with Werewolf 1.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it. If you played one Ace Combat game, you practically played them all. Now, that's not a bad thing. Hold on, let me explain why. You see, in Ace Combat, the controls are really simple to learn, as long as you don't accidentally crash into plane into a field, or a tower. The core arcade gameplay is what makes Ace Combat so good. It's able to stand out above the rest after all these years. So then, you may ask yourself, what makes the gameplay in Assault Horizons so bad? It was just like the other AC games. Dogfight mode. Is dogfight mode. Dogfight mode is what happens when a game about jets decides that it hates you all of a sudden, and dedicates its life to making yours a living hell, which is the exact same thing my ex-wife did after 30 years of marriage. It's supposed to be an attempt to be cinematic by mimicking the intense dogfight, but it just comes across as trying way too hard. The plan was to keep the target in the circle in order to shoot it down, which would be so bad if the devs then add shaky cam, making it difficult to tell what the hell is going on. Not only that, but it is also mandatory to use it, as it's the only way to shoot down targeted enemies and bosses. So yes, you will use dogfight mode, because the devs spend a lot of time making the cool set pieces, and by golly, you're gonna sit through them all. They even force you to use on ground targets, make you fly a set path when using it, which just proves that this mechanic is nothing more than a gimmick. Just like the time Mary's wife tried to do comedy, but instead of actually telling jokes, she just quoted shit she heard from TikTok. Speaking of one-play gimmicks, throughout the game, there are missions in which you're either controlling a turret, piloting a helicopter, or an AC-130. They are the worst parts of the game. For the turret missions, it's just one big turret section that just goes on for way too long. The helicopter missions are nothing more than shooting ground targets while all the cool stuff happens in the background. Occasionally, they'll give you a helicopter to shoot, but they're not that hard to take down once you know the concept of shooting ahead of where your target is going. And last but not least, we have the AC-130 missions. 2 of them in fact. The first one is a COD 4 ripoff, because why not? While the second one is a straight up bombing run. I like the second mission better because it actually felt like an Ace Combat mission, war crimes included. While all that pales in comparison to having idle girls on your plane. No, I'm not kidding. This game has plane customization, in which you can edit decals and spot trails on your plane. But I didn't do that. That's because having the kawaii anime character on my plane was enough for me to play this game all the way through. It is my plane, and god me damn if I don't have Chihiya Kisaragi be the last thing the enemy sees for the demise. Glory to Idol Masters! Chihiya is real! The first thing user child says so. I am having a panic attack right now, man. I don't know what to do, man. I have been on this so long, man. I don't know what the fuck. You know, it's kind of funny seeing the reception of Assault Horizon come down a bit, due to Ace Combat 7 being series into the spotlight after so many years of being a niche series. Hard to believe we're getting Ace Combat 8 in a few months, but after playing Assault Horizon, I'm glad that devs didn't continue around with this spinoff, except for another game that was released for the 3DS. It's just a remake of Ace Combat 2, but set in the real world. But anyways, just like my ex-wife, Ace Combat Assault Horizons is a relic of a bygone era, and I am happy to forget and pretend it doesn't exist. So, in conclusion, this game gets a Black Ops 7 out of Tom Clancy's Hawks. Glad that was done with. So, what do you think of the review?
Alright, Dado, you did a fine job with this one. But this wasn't in the time frame. It's great and all that, but where's Ratatouille?
It's coming!